Welcome back to the Marc Claire Show, and it's a very special episode today. It's so special because it wasn't even supposed to be an episode. It was actually a bonus show that I recorded with our great sponsor, Steven Fox of foxandsons.com. I don't need to go on about him because you'll hear about him more later in this conversation. He actually joined me for a fun bonus talking about a little bit about both of our journeys out of libertarianism, a somewhat infamous, semi-inebriated podcast that I've become somewhat known for in these realms, and a little bit of the conspiracy stuff, the usual smoke-filled room stuff. It's an all smoke-filled room episode, my friends. But I had a little scheduling snafu this week. A guest had to cancel on me. No big deal, but we all win here because this was a great conversation I had with Steven Fox. I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm thrilled to share it with you today. So check out my conversation with the great Steven Fox. Welcome back to a very special edition of the Marc Claire Show, a paywalled, all smoke-filled room. We already got the smoke. We're already bringing the smoke. With me, I've got not just a friend of the show, not just a sponsor of the show, not just a fan of the show. Well, he's all those things. Whatever. Steven Fox, welcome to the show.
How's it going, Mark?
It's going great, man. And, Steve, you've been on board really since before the beginning. As we'll kind of get into, you were listening to our stuff over on Lions of Liberty. I think you, yep. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think you said you didn't even listen to my show that much until
no, I didn't.
Of those shows, which is kind of ironic.
Yeah.
Until the change, so to speak. But people, of course, that have followed the show know of you from being a sponsor of the show since pretty much day one. So they've heard about your Fox and Sons coffee. Hopefully they've got bags at home. Hopefully they're drinking some right now. But maybe you could just give a little background on yourself, Steve. Like, just maybe you could cross over into sort of how you got here as well. Maybe, if you want to start with, maybe some of the libertarian stuff and how you started the business, wherever it makes the most sense to start things.
Yeah, no, totally. So, grew up in the Detroit area. I'm now live on the west side of the state, and around a little bit before 2020, I was considering building another business. So I do photography full time. That's my main job. But we were considering building another business, and was trying to figure out where to go with it. And love for coffee kind of pushed us into that direction. Had the name for about a year before we started it, and then looking around for some importers to help us get started to start producing what we wanted to produce. And we found a great importer, and then started building the brand slowly. Like I said, I had everything. Kind of took me a little right around a year and a half, maybe, I think, to get everything actually set before we started selling our first bags. But it was all basically a second stream of income. And then after COVID hit was like the big push for it, because my business went from great to zero, literally zero. So I had nothing coming in, and
you can't take my photo, I'll get a cold.
Yeah. So, and then we were, and I still get asked if we wear masks and stuff like that. It's insane. I'm like,
still
no,
to
never
this
did.
day?
Yeah, I've had a couple people.
That would be immediately like, I don't want your business.
I just don't answer. So we started that. Because of that, I was working at a dealership doing all their photos for everything. They had I think 6 dealerships total. So everything that came in, I photographed. And then started the coffee business. At that time, also, I was involved in the Libertarian Party, and was not only, I'd say, the Michigan Libertarian Party. It was not only on the board for the Michigan Party, but I was also in charge of our affiliate district in West Michigan. And the whole time I was in there, it didn't feel right. I could just never, there were certain things I could not get on board with, and just never
was it things, or was it people?
Yes, both. And we can go into more of that in a little bit, but yeah, so I got into that, and then I was listening to Lions Liberty, and I subscribed to all the shows, but I think I listened more to Odie, and then the Good Morning Fuckhead drop. That was always my favorite part of the day.
I still enjoy Brian's daily rants. I will admit.
He should definitely let that go public because those are awesome. Those are so
that's
much
actually
fun.
for years he's talked about, and he doesn't subscribe to the show, so he's not even going to hear these nice comments. For years he's talked about how was like the it's always been the kind of thing that's his dream, like a daily, quick, like ranty news show. And this is like what became the version of it. But I agree. I think this should be his thing. 5 minutes, yell at us, goodbye.
Yeah. If he did that, I think he would be 10 times as popular as he is now. At least have the more listen, whatever it is. But as far as like your end of that show, I liked it. It just wasn't the one I would always go to. It wasn't the one I always listen to. The debate stuff isn't really where I wanted to hear, what I wanted to hear. So,
well, good. Cause I think debates are super gay now.
Well, good. We agree.
I mean, it used to be my thing, that's kind of became my thing, largely because of Dave, ultimately. I did a couple random, libertarian candidate debates, but then, somehow this thing about, having Dave and Archie on, I just said, okay, yes, sure. I'm not going to say no to having Dave, hosting Dave on the show, because duh, first of all, he's Dave, he's fun to talk to. Second of all, he brings the numbers, let's be honest. He brings a lot of new eyes to things. So of course I was going to do it. But even as I was doing them, part of me is like, is this productive or is this just entertainment? And it was entertainment.
Yeah.
And I'll defend it as entertainment to this day, but I can't really say it was productive.
Yeah, it was entertainment. It was fun. I didn't want to argue over the same points over and over again. So that's why.
Well, then you don't want to be a libertarian.
Yeah. No, exactly. So then that was part of it too.
That's what they do.
So, anyway, so I'm starting the business, getting that going, doing all this. I'm involved in the party, and there's things I just could not square up. And 2020 hit, and all of a sudden, the Libertarian Party doesn't want to use the state to inhibit the state from making us put something in our system. And that was the biggest thing for me. I couldn't square that. And so,
did you face any kind of mandate things? I know you had the photography business, but I know obviously you got shut down basically.
Yeah.
But later on, when vaccines and that stuff started coming up, did you face anything related to that?
At that point, I was working for the dealership, and my wife was working for a company, and they were both considering it. So it never got pushed to the point. It was getting pushed where my wife worked, but she got the religious exemption. But then, it was getting pushed. So, and I, being the good libertarian I was, I wanted to fight it. Well, there was a Republican that had a bill that would have prevented the state from demanding it, or would have prevented businesses from demanding it. And I just got into arguments with my fellow libertarians over that. And I was like, well, they're not serious about what they're saying. They're just not serious about it. And between that and talking with Pete Quinones behind the scenes, I just got to the point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I sent him several messages. It was like, I don't understand this anymore. I can't do this. These people aren't serious. They want to debate. They want to fight. They want to prove that they're right. And it was like dealing with children. So I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah. And I think in some ways I'm the perfect person to be critical of them because I was the epitome of them at one point. I was the person that would argue about arguing. I would argue about that we should be arguing. I would argue about, what do you mean it doesn't matter if we're right? Of course being right matters. Well, being in a marriage, and that will teach you quickly how much being right doesn't matter. It's figuring things out that matters.
Yes.
If I was constantly trying to prove myself right to my wife, which I am always right, but that's not the point, as I'm trying to say, we wouldn't get anywhere. Instead, you have to look at things like, okay, let's figure out this problem. It doesn't matter if I'm right about the theory of how we got to the problem or what have you. That literally has no relevance. And it is the same thing in society and with the state and the relationship with the state. You have to figure out how to deal with this, okay? Because we're not going to snap our fingers and have no state. Not happening. Okay, so let's accept that and move on. Proving the state wrong, whether that's even correct or not, is ultimately irrelevant. So it might be fun on some level for people to get together and all agree that we hate the state, but it doesn't accomplish anything. In fact, I think it just, what I've realized is, and I feel partly responsible for this, I feel like it leads people astray. It leads them from doing something productive in their life, like starting a business.
Very much. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right on that. It leads you astray. It keeps you in this,
and I was the Pied fucking Piper of that shit. So
it keeps you in this spot where you can't get out of, because if you get out of it, then you have to admit that some things aren't 100% black and white, that there is some gray areas that we have to deal with.
And then you're an apostate.
Yeah. Well, and the funny thing is, like, I can't tell you how many of these libertarians worked for the government. Like, countless of them worked for the government. And it was like, wait, hold on. You work for the government, the same people that are trying to destroy your life.
You just said you hated the state.
Yeah. But yeah, you profit off of it. So,
and those same libertarians might like cry and scream if like some fucking mom with 4 kids like takes a penny of welfare or something like that. Yeah. Which I'm not defending that in theory either, but look at you. You have a 6-figure job for some government department. So, but they're the welfare person that you got to, whatever.
Yeah. And I just, the whole thing just got to the point where it was like, you people are not serious. You don't really want to do this. You just want control. And I joined because of the Dave Smith and the Mises Caucus. And I still think Dave is a great guy. I love Dave. I'm not knocking Dave at all.
Same.
There are other people who I won't name that. Yeah.
Like everyone else.
But I mean, I still think Odie's a great guy. I still think Big Williams is a good guy. I don't agree with them. But I think they're good people. And I think you get to the point where at least they can acknowledge, like, hey, we don't agree, and that's okay. We're still allies. Mm-hmm. And
they were at my wedding after I left Lions Liberty. So it's very easy to separate these things when you're not so immersed in it anyway.
Yeah. But then I put up this stupid tweet one day, and it was like it was pretty innocent. Like, it wasn't really like knocking anybody. I didn't slam anybody. I just put up a stupid tweet that said, like, something about Dave Smith. Dave Smith got me in the Libertarian Party, and then Pete Quinones pulled me out.
Yeah, I think that was almost exactly it.
And so I put that up, and I think you retweeted it or you liked the tweet.
I just liked it. That's all I did. I don't think I even retweeted it. I just hit the like button.
I wasn't like, hey, the Libertarian Party sucks and Mises Caucus is a bunch of cucks.
You weren't trying to start shit. You were just saying what you're
just saying what's going on. Yeah. And at this point, I already fallen out with the Michigan Libertarian Party that was all Mises, because I was arguing with them about things and I went against them. And then I was the apostate. Because I was part of the Mises Caucus. Like, I was in the Mises Caucus. I was there. I was running.
See, you were deeper than me. I never even joined the Mises Caucus.
Yeah, I was. But I was like part of the leadership of the Michigan Party. Mm-hmm. But then I realized they weren't serious about anything because they didn't do anything. And they wouldn't run local. They just wanted to run all the big ticket seats and put all the money towards that, but no effort. And
well, they just want jobs working for some big campaign.
Yeah, it was just it. They're just not serious people. And I think some of them are, and I think the ones that are the ones that end up getting screwed. You do have very serious people there that I think are doing good stuff or can do good stuff. They're just not. They just can't do anything else because the rest of them are just LARPing politics. But anyway, so I put up that tweet. You like it. The thing I found funny was Jack Lloyd was just trying to dunk on it. And I'm like, there wasn't anything to dunk on.
Yeah, like Jack, for those that don't know, I mean, whatever. Jack Lloyd is Jack Lloyd. If you know who he is, you do. If you don't, you don't. He's a character. Let's put it that way. I always liked the guy, actually. I mean, he had been on my show years ago on Lions of Liberty. I still have no issue with him personally because I don't take any of this personal. But anyway, he's very, I would call him, I don't think he would even disagree with this, a super libertarian. He's a mega libertarian, all right? If he takes that as an insult, it's that would say its own thing. But he posted this. He took a screenshot. I don't remember exactly, but it was somehow highlighting the fact that I liked it. Yeah. And then posted this in the Mises group, which I was in because, I don't know, someone invited me into the Mises Facebook group like years ago. Like Michael Heiss invited me in. I don't know. So yeah.
I was still in the group at that point too.
Yeah. So he posted that like WTF or whatever. And then it started some like controversy of like people making comments about the fact that I liked your post, which is it's already 3 layers of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It was so retarded. Like, it was just beyond retarded at that point. It was just absolutely silly and retarded. So yeah, then you end up doing the show. So Monday morning, I don't even know when you recorded it.
Well, let me fill in. Let me bridge the gap here. So there was that initial post that like people were like, "Oh, what's this about?" So then I made a post, like literally just trying to be like conciliatory, like because I still friends with a lot of these people. Like I see a lot of these people as my boys. I still do, and I just like, hey, you know. Apparently, some people like don't think I'm like against the Mises Caucus or something. I just want to clear, like, if I want to do it, ask me anything. So if you want to leave like posts here, I'll just do a podcast and I'll address this stuff to you guys. I thought that was like pretty reasonable. I didn't think I was saying anything bombastic. Dude, the responses in that thread are what became this, what was originally going to be just a normal, I'm going to read questions and answer podcast. And then, so I was in Tampa before we lived here. I came here just to work. So I was just in an Airbnb by myself. I didn't have my normal setup. I was working, so my process when I don't have my family with me, my process when I work is go to work, go get a drink or two at the bar, and then come home and crash in my Airbnb. That's my in a different city than my family process. So I did that, and then, but as I'm at that bar, I'm looking at all these responses on this post where I was just like legitimately like, hey, I'll answer any questions you have, and some of them were like normal, like, hey, what do you think? But most of them were just like, oh, you're trying to capitalize on this and that. You're trying to derail our. I guess the Libertarian Party convention was like 2 or 3 weeks away, and I didn't even. They thought I was trying to.
And they did so much with that convention. Let's acknowledge how much they actually did from that.
That was the one where Angela became the chair. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's all that happened, right?
Yeah, that's it. And they still haven't done anything.
And yeah, so basically, what I was going to do a regular Ask Me Anything podcast turned into. First, it was just going to be paywalled because I was like, I'm drunk. I'm not going to say drunk. I had a couple drinks, I would say. Wasn't blacked out. I remember it, and I would say all that stuff again. But I was a little tipsy for sure. So I recorded this almost like a Patreon-only thing. But then I was like, I shared it with a couple of people whose opinions I trusted on the matter. And I said, do you think I should release this publicly? One of them is Pete. I'll mention that.
Yeah.
Pete. You know what Pete said? He's like, he said, you have to release. He didn't even give me an option. He's like, dude, you have to release this publicly. I was like, and a couple of people said the same thing. They're like, yeah, it's you raw and unfiltered, but it's like the best podcast ever. So I was like, all right, publish.
So hold on. So I got to do this. So Monday morning, I'm at the studio shooting cars. I'm in there by myself, and your podcast pops up in my feed, so I'm like, okay, I'll listen to what Mark has to say today. And
I can't stand this guy, but I'll listen to him this week.
Never said that. Come on. But no, so I played it, and I'm like, holy shit! Like, I didn't realize it blew up this bad because I didn't see any of that stuff. Because I responded to something and immediately got kicked out of the group that night.
Ah, okay. So you didn't see any of all the other stuff that was happening in the meantime? Anything
that was happening. So I had no idea all that was going on. So I probably listened to it like 3 times that day because I was like, the hell? And I was on my way out of the party anyways. I was in the process of trying to leave. My wife was running the convention for Michigan, so we stayed until the convention was literally the last minute. I was like, cool. I got this business. I want to sponsor you. I want to see what happens with it.
And I'm like, sweet, send me some free coffee. We'll talk.
Let's get some coffee and some money going and we'll do this. But yeah, so no, and that was part of it. It was just it was the fact that I respected you wholeheartedly from that episode. And it was like, okay, cool. I'm not alone in this. So those were the reasons why I pushed into that. And I was like, new show. I could probably get some, a new perspective on stuff, and then also advertise our coffees. And when we started with you, I think we only had 3 roasts, and now we have 12.
Yeah, so. How does it work? I'm just kind of curious on that. And do you do the places you source from present? Do we have these other beans you can access, or is it you doing research into other beans? How does that process work?
It's both. It's I work through an importer that knows what I want, knows my profiles, knows the flavors we want to bring in. And then I'm like, hey, I need this. Find me this. And he does everything to find it for me. Nice. And then we bring it in. And sometimes we get a bag that's 50 pounds and sometimes we get 500 pounds. It really depends on what it is.
Large your run is going to be.
Yeah. Sorry, everything's reversed. Like the Tanzania here. We had a Tanzanian peaberry, which I think I'm pretty sure
I've
I
had
sent
that
you a
one.
bag. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
So this is the sister coffee to that. Same grower, same producer. But I was bugging them because I had so many people asking me for more of that peaberry that we went through 300 pounds in a summer, which was pretty great. So I was like, hey, I need you to go find me another peaberry from Tanzania because I can move that. And so he found this one, which I think is actually better than the peaberry. So next time I send you some coffee, I'll send you a bag of that. Super smooth, real mellow, pretty awesome. But yeah, so it's just a matter of like finding the profiles we want, like the Ethiopian. I really wanted a good Ethiopian. They're hard to find in the US, and I think they're pretty spectacular. So just finding stuff that is unique. A big percentage of our coffees are like what we call unwashed coffees or naturals. So they're a little bit more unique in the aspect of they're just different. The honey prep, stuff like that. They're different. They're not something that every producer has. So we bring it in, we roast it, we get it out, and then we either ship it out to a lot of you've brought in probably 40 plus customers that
Nice.
most of them are regulars, but yeah. So it's just whenever we get something new, we email everybody, and I don't bug people with emails either because I hate when a company emails me 5 times a week. I'm like, nope, I'm done. Yeah, don't send me anything else. I'm gonna unsubscribe. So I try to only send out like 1 or 2 a month, if that. We don't bug people about it, but yeah, we produce those, and then we have our regulars blends out of Peru, and those were just fun ones that we got from the importer that are blends. So we work with 3 small family farms out of Peru, and we get that stuff shipped out here and then blend it up and roast it. Sometimes it's a single origin, sometimes it's a blend. It just depends on how much we have of each one.
Well, they're all awesome.
So,
I'll say
yeah.
that. I would call myself like in the past few years, I became a heavy coffee drinker, but I was never a connoisseur. I didn't really know anything about beans or this and that. I just knew like I want caffeine,
Mhm.
but getting the different flavors and roasts and whatnot from you has really like opened my mind. Like, oh, there's an art here. There's a, it's like wine, there's like, it's this guy would kind of compare it to my relationship with wine. I like wine. Couldn't tell you a thing about him. But the more you learn and the more you learn what you like and that sort of thing, it really is like its own little journey too. Today's episode is sponsored by Fox & Sons Coffee. And let me just tell you, Steven of Fox & Sons, he is not just an advertiser. He has been a supporter of this show from day one, and frankly, since before day one, because he came over with me from the old Lions and Liberty days. So true fan of the show. He started this company, Fox & Sons, out of his love for coffee and really out of wanting to further bond with his sons and spend time with him, just like he shared time with his father drinking coffee. He also gets to teach his sons about entrepreneurship and business through this endeavor. So I'm so happy to have Steven and really his whole family, the Fox and the Sons, the whole gang as supporters and sponsors of this show. Not only that, his beans are so high quality, fresh. Look, I just got 2 new bags right here. I got the Mexican and my favorite, the Den Blend Dark. The beans are super high quality, fresh and sourced from small organic farms, fair trade, none of this GMO garbage. They're all small batch roasted. This is high quality stuff. Subscriptions are by far the best way to get your coffee. I have a couple subscriptions going, but that is the way to go. You never run out that way. I never run out. I always have my supply of Fox & Sons. So I want you to head over to foxandsons.com, put in your order today. They ship fast. By the way, while you're there, use discount code MCS to get 18% off any order over $25. Steven Fox is a great man, a great friend, great supporter of the show. I encourage you to check out his coffee over at foxandsons.com.
I ended up with the Boogaloo, so it's
Boogaloo,
just the way I do
Boogaloo.
it. Yeah, that's probably the best name. I love that one. That you know where that came from, right?
I mean,
Breaking-
I just go like Electric Boogaloo.
Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo,
Yeah.
the movie. That's where we totally stole it from that.
Nice.
So hopefully I don't get sued now.
I think you'll be okay. Well, kick ass, Steven. I mean, I obviously anybody listening to this show that has probably at least heard ads for the coffee and whatnot. But this is real shit right here, my friends. Like this is real. This is good shit. I drink this coffee and it's awesome. So know that this is more than just a paid advertisement placement. I do actually endorse not just the coffee, but Steven himself, because as you can see, we've kind of had a little bit of a similar journey. I think yours was like a little more of a hop skip into and out of libertarianism, whereas I was. You could even say, to coin a phrase, I was part of the problem. You could even say for a while. So I don't know. Maybe I think that might be part of the reason for my stronger counter reaction and why I'm a little bit extra bombastic and a little extra harder on. I think I'm especially hardest on people who are young men in their 20s. Probably because I see myself in a lot of them, and I see myself as a young man in my 20s wasting almost a decade either going down conspiracy rabbit holes, which you might find ironic considering some of the content I get to on my show, going down conspiracy rabbit holes and hating the state and reading philosophy books and determining that everything was because the evil people behind the state. And I'm not saying there aren't evil people behind the state. Of course there are.
Oh, there totally are. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, that's not the disagreement. The disagreement is, so what are you going to do about it? That's the disagreement. And I think there's really two kinds of people that came out of, at least from the libertarian camp. Maybe there's other types of people that just kind of are still doing their thing. But I think there's people that were non-political that are sort of waking up in some way to, how can you not? I mean, those couple of years, they were pretty much telling you on the nose, we're doing evil shit that makes no sense. There's going to be two kinds of people that emerge from that. People that never see it and can't see it and are blind to it and keep marching straight forward. Yeah. Or people that are like, dude, what the fuck? Like, this is like, what the fuck? This is obviously not standing 6 feet away from each other. Like, what are you talking about?
Do you remember when it was like, if your toe hurts, you have COVID. If your toe hurts, you don't have COVID. If your arm hurts, you have COVID. If your arm hurts, you don't.
Remembers. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was like everything was, and I honestly think at that point, they were just fucking with us. Like,
I absolutely now believe that is part of it, because at some point it's too absurd to be a full master plan. I was just talking about this on a recent episode. We'll be in the time loop. This might be out after that, but with Charlie Robinson. But he says, he thinks it is like a double plan of sorts. There's the real evil plan that is meant to do real evil things that the sheeple sort of, I guess, are gonna. I hate that phrase now because I used to use that all the time when I was like a crazy.
But libertarian. It still works.
But it is true. But that's how we would talk about the people that believed in the state and all this stuff. But anyway, it does work. The sheeple. I'll go back to them. They're just going to go along with everything. So part of it is to just push them along and see how many of them are just going to push along. But also the absurdity of it and the over the topness helps sort of weed out the people that are resistant in some way and that aren't that going to be that easy to just mow over with this thing. And it also is like a wink and a nod to them. It's like, here we are doing obviously evil shit. What you going to do about it?
Yeah.
So I think it serves a double purpose there.
And it's almost like a daring, like, come on, stop us. Like, stop us. And then we'll call you conspiracy theorists.
And what they probably want you to do is go ranting and raving about it and become a crazy lunatic conspiracy theorist who just goes, who starts, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with like, collecting food for the end times. Like, that should be a part of anybody's grand scheme to protect their family, 30 days of food, stuff like that, all about it. But you can't just do that. You can't just sit around collecting food, because that's only going to get you so far. And, and we can't just sit around waiting for doomsday either, all right? I've been hearing about the end of the world since the fucking 80s. Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how many times I could tell you I thought the end of the world was coming because a bunch of people on the internet convinced me it was. All right.
Yeah, remember Y2K? That was fun.
And maybe, exactly. That was the first one I was going to think of. So ever since Y2K, and there's been a bunch of these since then. And maybe one of them will be really the world ending, in which case there's no point in planning for the end of the world because it's the end of the world. So don't plan for that. Sure, plan for some worst case scenarios along the way in a reasonable manner. But if that becomes your whole life, then you're not even living life. And then, so I think there's the kinds of people that just went along with things and maybe just either don't see the evil in it or just can't accept it. I think that's a bigger thing. I think a lot of people see the evil and feel the evil, but they can't embrace that it's there because it's a really fucking scary thing to embrace evil being real. You have to really grapple with a lot when you embrace that.
It is. It is scary. It's interesting to watch the people that went along with literally everything and still go along with it. It's like you look at them and like, do you have a soul? Like, is there anything inside of you?
And
are you completely dead inside?
For some people, there may not be, and I don't think I even mean that sarcastically.
No, I don't. I mean, I'm joking about it, but it's I think it's real. Like, and if you go back to the episode with, was it Ed?
Ed Neighbor, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
love that episode, man. I got such a great feedback on that. Like
was,
probably of all the episodes I've done, it's like in my top 2 or 3, just in terms of not numbers, but just positive feedback that I can think about getting from it.
Well, the one you played with Jason last week was great. It was fun. It wasn't your normal episode. That was a lot of fun.
A little too much insider wrestling stuff for some people, I'm sure, but not for me.
Whatever. I mean,
it's my show.
You either listen to it or you skip an episode, whatever.
Exactly. That's the way I see it. I'm not offended if anyone skips an episode.
Yeah, as long as you keep your Patreons up and you buy your coffee, we're all happy with
exactly,
it. I don't care.
Right. Send money, buy coffee, we're good.
But those 3 episodes that you had before that were, I think, your absolute best 3 episodes you've ever done.
And this is true. He's not just saying that, because he literally texted me that exact same thing.
And it was after I was done listening for the 3rd time of the episode with Ed. I listened to that one 3 times, so I was just blown away by him. I don't agree with him on everything, but I like him a lot.
Yeah, me too. Well, he's an honest actor on it, is this, I think, the point. He's like, honestly, and I think he could change his position on all of this if presented the right evidence, which I appreciate. Well,
and that comes, I think the reason you and I appreciate that is because we both got to that point with other stuff.
Where the evidence told us otherwise, something very different than what we had decided to believe. Because that's all it was. We decided to believe something.
And you look at that with Pete and with Buck. I'm going to go back to them because watching that whole change was huge. Mm-hmm. And even Tommy, if you think about Tommy too, like...
Yeah. I mean, Matt Erickson, Adam. I mean, there's the list is long.
Yeah, the list is huge.
And those are just people we know. I'm sure for all these people we know in our small circle within a small circle within a small circle, there's got to be a lot we don't know about, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so that is a little bit of a white pill in some ways.
Yeah, and that those things, I'm traditionally like a black pill person, but those are my white pills. But anyways, those 3 episodes you did were phenomenal. All going back, and I think I don't want to say we're watching things, history change or whatever like that, but we're watching people wake up. And we're watching people stop the stupidity and becoming adults. We're watching people going, okay, everything is bigger than me. I'm seeing all this stuff, and there's a lot more out there than I thought was out there. Even going to the libertarian side, you have Top Lobster. I'm like, I've been listening to his show, the Nephilim Death Squad, I think. Oh, yeah. And it was fun too, because I see he's kind of changing where he's at as well. So it's just nice to watch these changes and to see these people grow, see everybody growing and building each other up. So, but yeah, those three episodes were absolutely phenomenal.
Well, it's funny. I mean, funny we talked about some people being sort of soulless, but I do think it kind of reminds me of, especially of what Jerry Marzinski was talking about. And I
couldn't remember which one was talking about that. That's why
Jerry was the one that was, he used to work in psychiatric wards and this sort of thing, and eventually realized, well, the only thing that actually makes sense here when there's patterns and whatnot is that there's intelligence behind a pattern, so that these are actual entities that, which obviously is not going to go over well in the regular medical world or what have you, because then again, just like regular people, then they have to deal with something that's not within their realm of understanding. So for a medical professional to say, well, actually we determined these are actually intelligent entities that are inhabiting the minds of these people, good luck bringing that to the medical board.
Well, and is it what it's what they believe, but it's what they've been told to believe. And
the medical professionals, you mean?
Yeah.
And
then we're not
right.
The people that then they're like, okay, I can't question it, because if I question it, then it's wrong.
And if they question it, they lose their job if there's someone that's in that field.
Trust the science, right? Mm-hmm. Trust the science. You have to believe what you've been told, or else if you don't, then you're an apostate.
Same. Here we are again.
Yeah, here we are again. So, that episode was very. I mean, it was great, but it was very, very just chilling almost. It's like, wow, I never thought of it that way. And whether you believe in God or not, after he's talking about the patterns and he's talking about how, if you repeat the Psalms, they freak out and leave, or they'll leave for a while. And then if they don't want you to read the Bible, they don't want you to pray, they tell you to stop doing it. And it's fascinating because one of the things for me as a Christian I've always fought with is like, you got the stories of Jesus like casting out demons. It's like, well, we don't see that anymore.
Right. Like that sounds like some old timey shit. Okay.
Yeah. Well, we do see it. And
or do we see it way more than before? And we just think it's what people are.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and these are the same people that tell us, hey, eat grains on the food pyramid instead of beef and fat, like, because that sounds better for you. Eventually, you get to the point where you're like, oh, hey, these are better for me. I mean, like, I always thought those things. I would eat that garbage, and now I'm paying for it, and now I'm trying to lose all the weight I've gained because I've ate all that garbage.
Yeah.
And, we're very strict keto, and we're doing all that stuff so we can get out of there. But I think that we've been taught so many lies that when you hear what the possible truth could be, it's like, no, it can't really be that, can it? And then, but if you grew up in the same way I did, where you've gone to church, or I've gone to church almost my entire life, I've fought with it, I've argued with it, I've walked away from it. But then you hear that and you've questioned that, like, well, I don't see that now, so I don't really believe in demon possession. And then you hear that show and you're like, holy crap, that's what it is. And it's just, it was mind blowing. I don't even know like how you found that guy, because it was completely mind blowing to me.
Actually, that one, Nephilim Death Squad, it was one of their first interviews.
Okay.
So I stole a guest or two from them. Ed Baby was on their show too, but I first heard him on Sam Tripoli's show like last year sometime. Okay.
Yeah, I listen to Sam once in a while. There's so many podcasts out there. I can't barely keep up with it.
That's the interesting about podcasting now. It's like podcasting is even way more niche down than it was when I started podcasting 10 years ago. Like, it really is about finding your niche audience, because huge podcasts are almost a thing of the past, unless you're Joe Rogan or some really big, huge name.
Yeah. Or unless you're propped up like Lex Friedman.
Unless you just like appeared out of nowhere and suddenly you just got that algorithm down somehow. Yeah. I can't. I mean, nothing against the guy. I mean, he might be a regular nice person for all I know, but I just can't stand the monotone, like robot analysis of things myself.
No, I can't do that. I've tried a couple times to listen to him talk, and it just doesn't work. But yeah, no, you're killing it lately. And like I told you, I'm proud. I think I put this on Twitter. It's like, I'm proud to be your sponsor.
Well, thank you.
I feel like you're doing the best work you've ever done on this stuff, and I think that the audience will grow because of that. And so, but I mean, even from the beginning with the I can't remember the dude's name, but the Bigfoot guy,
Tony
like that was a great episode too. That was a fun episode.
Yeah,
so you're always bringing people on that 9 times out of 10 I've never heard of these people, and it's fun to catch. It's fun to find new people through your show. So,
well, that's good, because that's pretty much is my only goal with my show, is because it's like I'm not trying to build up an email list. I have no product to sell. When I first started, I was kind of still doing.
You do.
Well, I do have a product to sell. That's correct. Which reminds me, head over to foxandsons.com. Use discount code MCS for 18% off your order. But yeah, I mean, I don't have my own product to sell. Is what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm not trying to do. I don't have a lot of podcasts like, a lot of people might have like a real estate podcast, and their real thing is selling their membership or something. Mm-hmm. I guess I do have a real thing. That thing is the Patreon, but it's really just I'm really just offering more show for it. When I first started out, I was doing some like podcast consulting and whatnot, and I'm still willing to do them. I just don't advertise it or put it out there a lot, because I just don't have much free time. So people need to track me down if they want that service, but it's still something I'm willing to do. But it's a good problem to have, because life has just become way too busy in way too many ways. And I've already cut a lot of little things in the last few weeks, even out of my docket But my wife won't let me stop the podcast. So you guys are stuck with me. She's like, no, you need to keep that. That's for you. Like, you have to do that. So,
yeah,
okay.
that's
all right. You say so.
That's a good wife. That's a very good wife
so.
there.
I think so.
What does your dog think about it?
He doesn't give a shit because he spends 18 hours a day sleeping and the other 6 running around the yard. So he doesn't care at all.
The pictures of you and him driving were some of my favorites.
Yeah, that's Burrito. If you can tell, he was named by a teenager from Mexico.
Burrito. That's an awesome name.
Yeah. When it was actually like a big moment because since this is all smoke-filled room here, I'll give you some behind the scenes. And it was we didn't know what to name this dog for. We just couldn't come up with a name. My wife and I and our son. And he grew up in Mexico, whatever. And for some reason, he just this sounds so stereotypical of a Mexican, but he just started calling the dog Burrito. And we're like, what a stupid name. We're like, that's not his name. We're like, that's not his name. You can call him that, I guess. Like, that's not going to be his name. And we were trying all these different names, and everything we would try just didn't feel right. But then he just stuck to it. He just kept calling him Burrito, come here, Burrito. And finally, one day, I'm like, you know what? This kid's 15. He just moved to the U.S. He doesn't get to decide anything. He doesn't get to decide where he goes to school, what he does in the day, what he eats. I'm like, I'm just going to give him this thing. I'm going to let him. So I said, if you really want to name this dog Burrito, we got this dog for you. You don't get to make many decisions. You can name him Burrito. And
That's awesome.
Was so happy. His eyes lit up. And now I can't picture him being named anything else. But at the time, I really hated the name. I was like, I was like, for a week, I was like, we're not naming that fucking dog Burrito. But now I can't see him as anything else. So,
Does he like wrestling? Not the dog, the kid, your son.
Not so much.
No.
He does like, he's more into like video games, stuff like that. He'll play like wrestling related video games,
Okay.
He likes The Rock. If The Rock is on TV, I can call him over. But yeah, it'd be hard to match my passion though, to be honest. It might be one of those things like you don't want to have the same hobby as your dad.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think me being into wrestling actually makes wrestling uncool, even though I like to think I'm like a cool dad, but
Yeah. I haven't watched wrestling in years, man. I used to watch it back in the 80s, but that was about it.
Gotta get you back on board, Steve. I'm telling
you. Was it WrestleMania 1 that was in the Silver
Only
Dome
cost you $5 to subscribe to Peacock and watch WrestleMania. Not that I'm hawking sales for Peacock.
Yeah. I can't get money to those guys, man.
Oh, I hear you.
But I'd rather give $5 to some of my other shows I listen to. What was I saying? Yeah, I listened back in the 80s when WrestleMania 1 was in Detroit. I think
3.
Right?
I think that was WrestleMania 3.
Okay.
That's the famous one. That's like the real big. That's the Andre the Giant body slam.
Yep. I remember that. And so that was when I was watching, but I think it was in 7th grade or 7th or 8th grade then. So, but yeah, we watched that one on TV.
As everybody knows, I'm an absolute wrestling addict. So we'll see. Some people were like about the episode with Jason. Because it was firstly it's on his show. We're going to talk a lot of wrestling, and then I was like, you know what, this is a pretty good conversation. Most people are not going to get all the references. I still think there's something in there. Plus, I needed an episode, so I put that one out. Got a pretty good response though. I mean, some people said I didn't really get the wrestling stuff, and I was like, that's okay. It's not for you, or it's for you, and you don't need to. You just trust my description of everything.
Yeah. And I like Jason too. He's fun. So good guy.
Absolutely.
But yeah, go on.
No, nothing.
No,
I really have nothing to say.
Okay. So you asked me a while ago about starting the business and getting it up. Half the other, and we got distracted, but half the other reason I started it was to teach my sons.
Right.
You said this in the commercial, and this is just what I really wanted was to have a business with them that I could help them to grow, help them to realize what it was like to have a business, to start a business, to run a business, to sell to the public. And my older son helped out with some of the website stuff, but he's older now. He's out of high school. He has no interest in it. He just wants to do his thing, which is computers, which is totally cool. And my younger son helps me out. Like he does all the other stuff and does the accounts and does helps me with getting everything ready for what we need, what we have. And then he does some markets with me because we do a lot of farmers markets. So he does that as well. But part of it was having that time with them. More that than it was starting the business with them. It was like, hey, we're going to spend this time together. Because I had that with my dad. I would go to work with him on Saturdays. have breakfast and have a cup of coffee. And that's how my love for coffee started and all that. But it was really that, just wanting that little bit of extra time with them, because I realized that they were growing up and that they were getting older, and that my time with them was short. And it was like, I need to do something that we can do together. That maybe I can pass on. Maybe one day this, like, okay, cool, I'm done with Fox and Sons.
It's just called Sons now.
Yeah. Give it to them and, see where they go with it. Because this could be a 2-year thing. It could be a 10-year thing. It could be, it could be done sometime. I don't know. When it stops making money, I'm done. So,
yeah, I think that's fair.
But yeah, so we started doing that, and then I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed spending that time with my younger son. Enjoyed doing the markets with him.
How old are our sons?
19. Well, yeah, 18 and 16, soon to be 19 and 17.
Good age to be learning business, I'd say.
Yeah, and like, I was always entrepreneurial from the beginning. I think I bought a lawnmower when I was about 7 or 10 or something like that, and I started mowing lawns around the neighborhood.
Same, man. Yeah, when I was like 10 years old, I went around to the neighborhood and I just put up these flyers like, I'll mow your lawn for $20. Also, I'll do anything. I'll watch your dogs. I'll water your plants. Mm-hmm. And I was working for the whole neighborhood. And then I went and blew it all in comics. But I still learned about making money and spending money.
Yeah, and I think that's good for them. I think that's good for, it builds that relationship between us. And I'm really, really happy that we've had this time to do this. And it's like anything. I'm the old man, so I took over and I've run 99% of it. But it's been a wonderful time with them. And as a whole, like, my wife does markets with us once in a while, or like her and my son will do a market and I'll do one. She doesn't even like coffee. She doesn't drink coffee, doesn't like it, won't touch it, but she'll sell it for me. So, but it's become an important part. Yeah, it's become a family business, and it's exciting to see it grow. And we're in some stores, not a lot anymore. We did have some stores jump on right away, and then everything, Big B paid them more for the shelf space, so we got kicked off. So, oh well, not a big deal. Our stuff isn't for everybody. Like, if you're a Folgers drinker, it's very rare you're going to be converted over to our stuff, and you're not going to pay the price difference. So
it's like,
we understand that.
It's just like the Marc Clair show, man. Like, I intentionally have less listeners than I did with Lions of Liberty, because with Lions of Liberty, I was appealing to a certain audience, and I made the decision that's not who I'm appealing to anymore. I hope some of those people, some of those Folgers drinkers, will say in this case, come over and try my beans, and meaning these episodes with Jerry Marzinski and Ed Mabry, the kind of stuff that's totally different than, it's podcasting. That's about the only similarity it has to the conversations that I used to have on Lions of Liberty, a lot of the stuff anyway. So to me, it's the same thing, man. I'm trying to get the more refined folks, I guess, so to speak. Leave the Folgers behind, but some people are just going to be Folgers people. Some people are not going to be into what I do, and I'm totally. In fact, that's how it has to be.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And I think it's okay to shed your skin, move on, and do something different every once in a while. I don't think it's bad to do that. I never, ever in my dreams thought I'd open up a coffee company, ever. I was like, I'm going to do photography until I'm dead. I'm going to produce photographs until I'm done. And I still do it, and I still love it, and it's still great. But when your main job literally goes away and you have nothing else to do, you got to figure something else out. So, and I'm pretty useless outside of selling stuff, whether it's photography or coffee.
And there's actually like two important lessons in there in that very sentence. One is that, this is a reality that we're already telling to our son, like, the world we grew up in is not the world they're growing up in. Like, it's just not. We can decry it all we want. It's just a fact. Jobs are gone, man. Jobs are going away. There's a few hanging on. They're not going to be here long, like regular jobs where you go to a company and you get great benefits and you work for them and you stay there for 40 years. Like, that way of life is out of here, There might be still some hangers on that are living on the tail end of it. Partially me in some aspects, but, not really. So we need to be kind of teaching people like to think in a new way. Like you need to find ways to provide value to people. Maybe a way you provide value is like spending the time to source like really good coffee beans and then getting them to people in a affordable, efficient manner. So that fulfills a need for people that are looking for that kind of thing. But that's not a job, jobs. They're either going to be so gone or they're going to pay so little that you may as well not have it in the first place.
Yeah.
And you're going to be so replaceable that you basically have nothing to bargain with. So let's be the lowest bottom feeders that even have those jobs. So you got to provide value, whether it's, doing a podcast that people like or, something that really provides value direct to consumers. Because while jobs are going away, trades aren't going away, business isn't going away, people having desires and needs isn't going away. So embracing that, and I think teaching your sons this now is going to be so huge for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And things that will never go away, raising chickens, raising cows, doing farm work. I'll tell you what, the farmer's market has been the coolest place I have ever been able to work in my life. I absolutely love going into the farmer's market every day. There's a few hardcore weird lefty people there, but for the most part it's like just good solid people that want to provide a great product and give you a food that's not going to kill you, not laced with all kinds of weird chemicals and stuff that and you're going to pay more for it, but it's the better stuff for you. And I'll say what's changed in me with working in those markets is realizing that because I think I always looked at farmers markets as like they were fun to go to, but I always thought that it was all like the weird hippy dippy lefty people that went to markets, and those are the customers, but those aren't the people that run the markets. Those aren't the people that sell at the markets, and it's shown me that that these people really do give a crap about what you're ingesting, what you're bringing into your body, what you're bringing into your home. And
they're like the good hippies. Yeah.
And they're family, man. They're like, I do a market that's an hour, almost 2 hours away from my house on Fridays over the winter because it's the only market that's available. But these people have become family. Like they're fun people. They're great. We sit around, we just have a great time. We talk about stuff. We joke about stuff. And like, I look forward to going there on Fridays. Like tomorrow we don't have a market because it's Good Friday and it's in a church, but it's a huge bummer when I can't be there. And I do 4 markets in the summer, 4 or 5 markets in the summer that we sell at. And like that's the best time of the week is like you get up super early, you get out there, you get set up, and then you sit and talk in between customers and you joke around and you just have a good time. And they're great people. So yeah, I've really enjoyed, that's probably been my favorite part. Other than the parts with my kids, like that end of it is we're working with the other marketeers, for whatever they're called. So whatever.
Marketeers. I like that.
Yeah.
I like marketeers.
So yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely loving it. It's so much fun. So
sweet. Well, very good, Steven. It's been awesome chatting with you in long form. You guys, we've texted back and forth. We've had a couple phone calls, but it's always good to sit in the smoke-filled room. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's been awesome having you in here. Before we wrap up here, I got about 5 more minutes before I got to hop off onto something else. But since we haven't really gone into too much weirdness with you, so I'm just going to ask you one question. What is the craziest conspiracy type thing that you believe or have come to believe, or maybe even just sort of think may be true, that you're just comfortable enough to mention around friends and family, but you're not quite sure, but you're the most, I guess, like confident about it having some truth to it?
The moon landing.
Boom. It's the easy one now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. And I was on the edge of the conspiracy stuff for probably the last like 4 years up until COVID. That pushed me over the edge. Mm-hmm. But that, between that and the last couple of shows you've had, and I hate going back to that all the time because I'm not doing this to be like, hey, you're great. But you know what I'm saying?
Everyone, these people pay me. They must think I'm okay already. So,
but the show about the schizophrenia, the show about the Nephilim, like all those shows have like pushed me over further and further into what is called, I mean, people call it conspiracy theory, but I mean, Epstein didn't kill himself. We didn't land on the moon.
It as reality theory.
Yeah.
I mean, there is conspiracy theory, and there is weird conspiracy stuff I think that's a tricky thing of navigating this realm, so to speak. There is a lot of bullshit rabbit holes in the conspiracy world, probably more than there are not. So I've always tried to find I try to look at things in a certain way. So I try to approach things.
Ops.
Yeah, I think there's ops galore. Yeah, and I think there's tons of stuff put out there to make whatever morsels of truth there are so obvious. What is that fucking word? Obfuscate. That's really fucking hard to say.
Obfuscate.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's the word I'm trying to say.
Like
I'm just going to let you say it.
Sure.
That happens. So, yeah, I mean, I think it is at the point where it's kind of like, yeah, it's a reality theory, but there's like really good journalists and people that do a lot of work and look into this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then at some point it's like, so what do you do with it all? And I think that's even I think a lot of the conspiracy people that are what I would call more legit, more genuine, even them, a lot of times I'm like, so what's the solution? And I'm not saying I have the solution, but I try to look at things with that focus. And I try to be like, so what do we do with all this information? Is it just an information dump? And I think that's what it can be going around down. I mean, I can't tell you how many 9/11 conspiracy videos I watched in the day. There's not a theory I don't know about. What did knowing every 9/11 conspiracy do for me? What did that do for me? It took literally dozens and dozens of hours out of my life, and that's not even all the ones I spent probably proselytizing. Like, did you hear this? Can you believe this? Do you think maybe there was no planes? And look, one of them's probably true. Like, I'm not saying there's not something worthy to look into, but what does that knowledge gain you at the end of the day?
Yeah, no, totally. And like the one I have a hard time with still, I think, is the flat Earth.
It's funny because it's right in the same realm as moon landing. It's just a little bit on the other side.
I want it to be true. I really do. I really
Most
want
people
it to
don't
be
say
true.
that. You want it to be true. Why do you want it to be true? I find that interesting.
Because I think it would be the one thing that would make everybody go, "Oh, it's all bullshit."
Okay.
Everything's bullshit.
Like if we could somehow get the actual someone goes up there and they're like, "Oh shit, no, it's really flat," and we all know.
Yeah.
Then it'd be like, oh, "Okay."
If there was a way we could prove it, then everything else, then you're like, okay, everything else is a lie at this point, and we need to go back and start over.
Let's start at reality square one.
Yeah, and that's the only reason is just because I want it to be true for that one and only reason.
Interesting.
But
I mean, even the moon landing should be a big. Well, it's not as big as like reality. You could like sort of tell yourself, oh, just some government people faked a moon landing because for political reasons, and it's not like it's not this grand. It's not that grand of a. It's grand, but it's not as grand as everyone's been lying about reality for hundreds of years.
Here's the really fun part is watching my wife, because I'm like, the moon landing is not real. She's like, oh, come on, shut up. It's real. It's real. It's real. Like a couple months ago, she's like, I think you're kind of right about the moon landing. But
my wife's crazier than me now. She's like, the earth is flat. There's no way. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not totally sold. She's like crazier than me. It's great.
But the best thing is that we were talking about this, and I'm really open with my kids about all this stuff too. I'm like, no, it's bullshit. It's not true. Blah, blah, blah. And my son's like, well, then we should talk to her about Helen Keller.
Nice.
he's like, oh,
he brought
so you're
that
telling
up
me that totally without me. I still
do want to do a dedicated show on Helen Keller. It's just hard to find much of substance about her. There's not much of substance, actually.
Well, there was not substance there to begin with.
Exactly. I think she was pardon the phrase, I think she was a real retard. I think she was just manipulated and her writings are not her own. I think she's just a retard that was trotted around.
Yeah.
And made to, who knows? I don't know. Maybe she was in on it, maybe she wasn't, but there's no way she was writing books and just happened to have views that lined up pretty well with the communist planks.
Yeah. That's the thing is like, why'd she stop writing? Well, her writer died. That's why she stopped writing.
And suddenly she stopped writing.
You had one person in the entire universe that could discern her tapping.
That could speak her magical finger language.
Yeah.
Oh, Helen says she's going to go have coffee and toast today.
Yeah. It's just like, if she's deaf, dumb, and blind, how the hell did she learn how to speak? Through tapping fingers. It makes no sense.
And once you get through Helen Keller, and then you go back and you take a look at Stephen Hawking, I think that's an even higher level. You look at some early Hawking videos, you're like, oh, this guy's a total fucking, he's brain dead. He's not there. There's early Stephen Hawking videos. Maybe I should do a Hawking and Keller show. That might be enough to justify a whole show. There's early Stephen Hawking videos. It's just like the Helen Keller thing. They're like, oh, Stephen, what did you do? Blah, blah. And he's just like, this is before he had the keyboard. This is before he had the magic keyboard. He just made these sounds. He was like, and I'm sorry if I'm making fun of people. I think the guy's a fraud,
you're not.
or he's been used. He just does his thing. And the guy, just like the Helen Keller translator, he immediately goes, well, Stephen said he first took a interest in physics, and when he just made these eloquent sentences. Like, there's no way you're translating these retard sounds as these sentences in real time. No,
it's a complete. Like, yeah, it's just there's absolutely no way it's real. But these are the same people that believed you had to stand 6 feet apart. Mm-hmm. If you cough, you were gonna like kill grandma.
Right.
So and then if you didn't believe what they were saying, they would tell you to go lick a doorknob. Those are the exact same people that believe that crap.
Yeah. I almost think it's like one of these things too. Like, now I look at the moon landing, it seems like so absurd. I almost feel like it's meant to be absurd on the same line. There's going to be the people that just mow along and believe it. Now, maybe it was more believable in the 60s when we just didn't like know stuff. I don't know. But now it's so obviously just some very shittily done like set job.
Well, and I don't think that they had I don't think that they ever thought we would have the internet. It would be able to watch these videos over and over and over again.
And do this hyper analysis, and people could do 2-hour documentaries breaking it all down.
But the best part, and this was really the clincher for me, was the Indian moon landing.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
That was the absolute clincher for me.
I'm like, I could bring it up right now.
I'm like,
too much work.
No,
it's so funny.
Nope, it's not real. You need to do that at the end of the show. Like, put that in later. But that one was the absolute like, oh, it's 100% not real. Because I was like, yeah, maybe it's not. I'm not 100% sure on it. But when I saw that one, I was like, nope, there's absolutely no way it's real.
Let me do real quick, see if I can just do a screen share, since I'll put up this video for the old patrons. If I can just play it. Let's see. Share screen. All right. Yeah. All right. We're going to do this. This is the India's historic moon landing. Let's see.
Here to encourage us.
We don't need to. Okay.
And
this is the live feed.
Critically
you seeing this, right?
Looking at the visuals.
Good.
Oh my gosh.
This is not a joke. I mean, it is a joke, but they're not presenting it as a joke.
It's like not even Galaga good.
I was going to say, it reminds me of Galaga. And these are real people cheering. Look at this. They really think. Now, do you think these guys think they did a real moon landing? This is what I always wonder.
Yeah, they have
to. Look at the prime minister with his little flag. He's like, yeah, that was he knows. He totally knows. He's like,
yeah, he knows, and I think
definitely knows.
Probably 10 of the engineers know, but everybody else thinks it's real.
The rest are playing a video game and are just dupes ultimately.
But the best part about it. The best part about it is that you have like the United States government congratulating them and China congratulating them. And they have to, because if they don't, then it's all bullshit, right?
Mm-hmm. You kind of got to all be on board or not. Yeah, I mean, the India one is just like, that should be the first thing you send to people. And they're going to say like, no, that's not real. And they're like, no, it's real. It's not real, but it's real that it's real that they're saying it's real. I love these guys, man. This is hilarious.
Notice how they don't ever show that in a big, like, there's no full screen of that.
Yeah, no, there's not. Let's just go back one more time. I want to see at the beginning again.
like there's
like they don't even show it landing. They just show it like hovering above. Like, really, it's hilarious. I mean, it's like, it's so funny. But there's probably people that would, and that's the thing. They almost have to defend this, because if the United States and China, who had the legitimate moon landings, are congratulating them, then it's all real or it's not, right?
And you think like. This is what bums me out about like Putin. If he really wanted to screw the U.S., just come out and be like, yeah, we never landed on the moon. Nobody ever did. We never actually went into space. No dog died. You know,
Cosmo's fine.
So, I really want him to do that, just to completely screw over our government. That'd be so much fun. So, like, going back to like the whole beginning of this, I'm still completely anti-government.
Oh yeah, sure. I don't like it either.
Yeah, honestly.
The difference is I'm not afraid to utilize it as a inanimate object, so to speak. Like it's just like a gun. Like some guys might go out and do shitty things with guns, but my use for it is going to be to defend myself or my family. So same thing with the state. There's a bunch of psychopaths doing shitty shit with the state, but if I can use it to defend myself or my family, I will do so.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's part of why
they're going to get us all killed with what they're doing over in Ukraine and Israel, but so different.
Well, hopefully that just stays over there.
Yeah, hopefully.
Steven, I got to run off and do another meeting, but it's been awesome having you on here, dude. We got to make this. Maybe we'll make this a semi-regular touch base. You can be like my behind the scenes man. So I think maybe I'll do it after this, after I release this one. I think I got to post that, because a lot of people aren't going to know what we're talking about. So maybe just for posterity's sake, I'll share that podcast at Lions. You can also find it. I think it's Lions Liberty. I want to say it's 590, episode 594 or 586 or something like that. I'll post it. To the...
You sent that to me recently, didn't you? When the whole thing came back up.
Yeah, and I re-listened to it. Because I was actually curious how I felt about it years later. Yeah. I still felt good about it.
Oh, it was still...
I actually feel better about it. I'm like, if anything I would criticize, I was too apologetic. I would say something that I'm sorry, I don't need to... I was still kind of trying to be a little nice, even though I wasn't being that nice, but I was still trying to pull myself back. I think now I would just... There's none of that. None of this. No apologies.
Nope. But awesome.
Cool, brother. Well, it's been awesome having you on. One last time. This is not an ad, but it's always an ad because you're our sponsor. FoxandSons.com. Anything else you want to tell them about the best way to acquire those beans?
Go to the website, FoxandSons.com. Fox and the letter N, Sons.com.
That's why I always say it.
Use MCS code, get 18% off.
Mm-hmm. I'm an 18%er. We're one of the elites.
Yeah. And I want to thank everybody that's ordered. Our family is eternally grateful for you supporting us. We really are. We honestly, the support we get from Mark and from everybody that's ordered, I really want to thank you. You guys have done a phenomenal job keeping us in business and becoming friends too. So just wanted to thank you guys for that. But yeah, that's it.
And by the same token, Steven, I thank you so much for your support, both financial and emotional, through the whole thing with the Lions Liberty. You were kind of there through all that stuff. And it by the same token, you were happy to hear other people were thinking the same stuff. It is good to hear, even when you're doing a podcast, some people saying, oh, that resonated with me. So I appreciate that as well. And thank you to all these patrons, because thanks to Stephen Fox and thanks to my patrons, I barely have to do much on the show anymore except record it. I've got an amazing editor in Bobby who's helping me out.
Bobby's the man.
Just brought another great guy who's been a fan of the show for years, Ben. He's going to be helping me out. So I only can do that. I'm not taking that money out of my pocket. It's coming out of your pockets and Steven's pockets. So I really appreciate that, because that lets me do the part I like, which is just sitting down and talking to people and then not do all the other stuff. So it's been a huge... I don't know if I could still be doing the show if I still had to do all the editing and all this other stuff myself. So I really appreciate your support and the support of everybody listening to this show, because it lets me do something I really enjoy without having to stress too much about it.
Can I give one last shout out to Bobby? You ever listen to his podcast, Not For Everyone podcast? That is absolutely...
We should plug it.
One of my absolute favorite podcasts.
As the title implies, it won't be for everyone, but it's a really fun show, especially if you're into movies and this sort of thing.
B-movies, all that kind of stuff. It's so much fun. Him and Adam are the best. I love those guys. So sorry I had to plug those guys.
I should plug him more often.
Yeah, he has a great podcast. So
indeed. Well, Steven, it's been a blast. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, sir.
Take care, brother.